On this episode of the Best of Bias podcast, you got your boy Lydell Dinero talking to y'all about a bunch of sports. This episode is a lot of sports. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. A lot of sports to go through. NFL Week 2. A lot of 2-0 teams out there, especially the Buccaneers. Boy, I got a lot to talk about that. College football Week 3. I'm gonna review a little bit of the Oregon game. We played Hawaii last week. Talk a little about Colorado State, and then the hype between those two teams playing this week over there in Eugene. See if Prime Time can continue his little win streak in his first year over there at Colorado. Then we're gonna talk about fantasy, of course. Get my fantasy scores out there for the Best of Bias Invitational 2023. The scores from week 2, and then the standings for week 2. You know how we do it there. Not much pop culture today. Just like one little thing here and there. It's kind of sports related. And then we're gonna get right into Cinema Corner. We have another Ashoka episode to talk about. So, and a couple of things of what I'm watching and stuff like that. So, not much in the Cinema Corner, not much in the pop culture, but as we get into the sports and the sports equinox, we're gonna be talking a lot of sports. So, hope you guys are ready for that. Sorry to all my pop culture and cinema corner guys and gals. We're still gonna do cinema corner every time. There's always stuff in the cinema going right now, especially the good shows and stuff that I'm gonna try to put you guys on, especially in this drought with the writers and the actors on strike. So I'm gonna keep you guys up to date with that. I hope you guys like the glasses, and I hope you don't mind the glare right now. But I'm trying to get in real Oregon spirits right now because it's a big game this week. You know what I mean? But it's the Best of Bias podcast. Let's get right into this podcast. It's Friday. Actually, today's Friday, so it's Saturday. Dropped this podcast on Saturday. My drops be kind of sporadic, but you guys know why. I'm doing the best I can. You guys don't fault me, but it's the Best of Bias podcast. Where that theme song at, and let's get right into it. Yeah, no more long talking and all that shit. Let's get right to it. Yeah. It's the best of bias. You need the earful, you should try us. From pop culture to the movies to unite us. It's the best of bias. The best of bias. Yeah, it's the best of bias.
You are now listening to the Best of Bias podcast with Lydell Dinero and Hugo Twilight.
Welcome. Saturday. Lovely day. We got college football today. Depending on when you're listening to this, you probably could have already watched your college football. Did your team win? You know what I'm here to talk about. You know what I'm repping. Sorry for the audio listeners. I'm wearing my Oregon shirt. Last 2 weeks, I think I've been wearing Oregon gear. Maybe the week before that. But it's college football time. I'm trying to let everybody know what I'm repping. And everybody's doubting us this week. But let me not jump the bridges here. Let me not just jump the shark. You know what I'm saying? Let me get right to what we're talking about. You know how we like to start it. Let's talk about the NFL Week 2. Welcome in, everybody. Before I get to everything, I like to check in on everybody's mental health. Hopefully, everybody's doing good out there. If you're not, man, just let me know. Hit me up in the DMs. Maybe we can talk or something, talk through some things because, I'm always here for y'all, the Best of Bias family, especially the core listeners that have been here for a long time. I respect y'all because, this growth is taking a while for us to get to where we want as far as audience-wise. But once we get there, I'm telling you, the core fans is going to help everybody get up to date. But if you are new today, I like to explain kind of what the Best of Bias podcast is about. We bring bias from all the pop culture, spheres of the world. We talk about sports. We talk about pop culture stuff like comics, superheroes, movies, stuff going on in pop culture with celebrities, stuff like that. Just kind of what everybody is talking about. Different aspects. We don't limit it to one topic. This podcast kind of is all encompassing. So you never know what you're going to get when you come to this podcast. You might get something you want to hear about, and we'll reflect on some stuff. You never know if we have a guest on that reflect on some stuff. We may have the same viewpoint as you, and you're waiting to reflect with somebody else and get in the podcast where they can have the same ideals as you. And if they don't have the same ideals as you, just hear somebody else's viewpoints, to try to hear the other side of the coin, what I'm saying, that you may not have heard before. But either way, welcome to the family. Thank you for clicking on this podcast because I know you could have been at any podcast in the world right now, but you're listening to us or watching us on YouTube. If you're here on YouTube, go ahead and hit that bell right there so you don't miss any of the new podcast that we drop. We drop every week. Try to get the podcast out on Friday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we in that span. Just look for us, keep tapping. Actually, if you hit the bell, you don't have to. You just know when the videos and the pods are out, so you'll be straight. But like, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll talk more about that where you can at the end of the podcast. But let's get right into it without further ado. Let's start with the NFL. Thursday night, we saw the Eagles play the Minnesota Vikings. It seems so long ago now, right? It's Saturday. Seems like a million years ago. We just had the Monday Night Football game, and we may have forgotten all about the Vikings game. But the Eagles were able to take care of the Vikings 34 to 28. The Vikings are 0-2, man. After last year, they had a crazy record, and they were like 11-1 or something like that in one-score games and stuff like that, and was able to put up big numbers and produce a lot. This year they're off to a rocky start. They played the Bucks week 1. I told you all about that game. Kirk Cousins is kind of struggling. Justin Jefferson was doing raw, but the absence of Dalvin Cook is kind of showing. And I mean, TJ Hawkinson, that addition is doing great for them. But without Dalvin Cook, it looks like the offense is kind of up to Kirk Cousins to make pop, and he's not really doing that. He's kind of turnover prone. He's putting up big numbers because he's trying to like come back at the end of the games after being down. Jordan Addison, I think his name is Jordan, out of USC, is doing great as a first-year receiver on the opposite side of Justin Jefferson and, KJ Osborne and Hawkinson. So they're all right, but the Eagles, man, they're trying to find themselves still. The Bucks play the Eagles on Monday Night Football. Probably talk about that when we talk about the spreads and stuff for the next this week's games. But the Eagles still trying to find identity. Jalen Hurts in the offense is not looking as good as it did last year, but it's understandable. They lost offensive and defensive coordinator to other teams. I think the offensive coordinator went to the Cardinals and the defensive coordinator went to, I don't know exactly what team he went to, but either way, they lost 2 coordinators. So they're trying to find themselves again. And when they played the Vikings, they didn't really seem too much like themselves. The big passes, the explosive plays weren't really there. They kind of focused on running the ball a lot with DeAndre Swift, the new acquisition from Detroit. And he scrambled for rushing touchdowns every time they got to the goal line. So we didn't really get to see what the offense had to put together. Devontae Smith had some big plays. I think he had like a 60-yard touchdown. But still, it didn't seem like they were clicking on all cylinders and weren't really themselves yet. But they did get that win, which ended the Thursday night games. If you guys saw that game and bet anything on and won some money, congratulations to you, but I did not. Sunday games, we'll ramble through these real quick. The Ravens played the Bengals. The Bengals still not looking like themselves. Joe Burrow may actually be hurt. That calf may actually be a problem. No touchdowns for Jamar Chase yet. T. Higgins had a bounce back game after having 0 catches on 8 targets the first game. So it was a bounce back game for him. Joe Mixon still wasn't really doing much. They did all their scoring towards kind of the end of the game. The Ravens were actually able to put together offensive drives and stuff like that to move the ball down the field. Everybody's kind of worried about Lamar Jackson after week 1, but this week showed that he's getting right back on track. Though they lost Odell Beckham to an ankle injury in the game, Zay Flowers and others are looking like they are ready to play. Though they lost J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards went out there and had I think it was Gus Edwards or it was their Justice Hill. One of them. Either way, they have a stable of backs that always kind of step up in the absence of each other. And they're able to do that. And Lamar was able to run with his feet, obviously, but make things happen with his feet. Sorry, Clay was over there doing some crazy stuff. My little puppy's over here just scratching his bed before he lays down. Just lay down, bro. You gotta do all that. But anyways, yeah. The Ravens were actually able to take that to go to I think they're 1-1 now. So it's 27-24. The Bengals fall to 0-2. Seahawks beat the Lions, bounced back from that week 1 loss. They won 37-31. The Lions, after beating the Chiefs, everybody thought was actually ready for ascension to be a team that's really to be reckoned with in the NFC. But after losing to the Seahawks, like they did this week, I don't know if that's true. Lions fall to 1-1. Colts played the Texans. Colts beat the Texans 31-20. Not much to talk about in that game. Anthony Richardson, I think, went out that game. Had 2 rushing touchdowns early in the game. Went out with a concussion, so he went out early. But yeah, the Colts were able to secure that win 31-20. The Bears and the Bucks, I can talk about this game a little bit more. The Bears didn't really do much against the Bucks. The Buccaneers defense looked pretty dominant, but I mean, there's always that Justin Fields factor. People are kind of like skeptical of him, thinking that he's actually a bust because there's no progression from year 1 to 2 with his throwing the ball and reading the defenses and holding on to the ball too long and getting the ball downfield. Everybody thinks he's just one of those quarterbacks that is good with his legs and can make things happen with his legs, but when it's time to actually process plays or make things happen down the field, he can't do it. And the Buccaneers kind of exposed that. The defensive line. I think we had like 6 sacks that game, like 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and an interception. I think one of the interceptions didn't count because the one of our DBs stepped out of bounds. They were able to move the ball downfield when they, got the ball to DJ Moore, their new acquisition from Carolina when they traded the #1 pick to them. But you know what I mean? I just don't know what their plan is for him. It looks like he doesn't know what he's doing out there. He reads defenses wrong. He does hold the ball for a very long time. And when it's time to run, it's kind of too late. The defense is already on him, and he's just holding the ball. I think the second longest in the NFL. The first longest is Zach Wilson, and you know how he is. So it's not looking good for him, but talking good on the Bucks. Baker Mayfield looked good again. Mike Evans looked good again. I feel like this year, our offensive line again, like I said, with the quarterback that actually can move in the pocket and can run around and give us some time and have the receivers just kind of make plays in space, can be good for us. And that's what Baker Mayfield is. He's not the best quarterback in the world, has the best resume in the world, but with the receivers we have, with the skilled positions we have, it can make average quarterbacks look good. Not saying Baker's average, it doesn't have it in him, but it's like, man, we can still make things happen. Everybody expected us to be so trash just because we lost Tom Brady, but we still have those requisite pieces to be good. We just got to put it all together. And Mike Evans, man, had another 170-yard game. I think he had 1 touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns. Chris Godwin able to get open on crucial third down plays. Rashad White was actually able to move the ball, line pushing people around finally. D-line, Shaq Barrett got an interception touchdown, got a couple of sacks, actually getting to the quarterback. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka actually got a sack. Logan Hall out there, Vita Vea, of course, out there pushing the pocket, collapsing the pocket. We still haven't had our first-round pick, Elijah Chansey, play out of Pitt. And he's supposed to be a stud too on a defensive line. So once we get all that together and our linebackers, you already know about them. Antoine Winfield Jr. causing havoc. We didn't even have our starting corner for the last game. Carlton Davis was out. So he's coming back. So with our defensive squad, the way we have it, if we can hold people to low-scoring games, get some turnovers, and avoid turnovers from Baker Mayfield, I think we could be something to reckon with and something that nobody really expected. And I mean, you make jokes on Baker Mayfield just because of his past and the last stops he's been at. But so, I mean, maybe if he gets in a stable situation in an organization that actually, has been winning the last couple of years and just want to kind of continue on that pace, maybe this ended up being a good spot for him to go to. In the long run, it could be the redemption story of Baker Mayfield. I mean, shoot, he's already more advanced than any quarterback we can draft in the draft next year. And his development is probably past what it would be from year 1 to 2 anyway. So until like year 3, you have to wait a couple of years and be going through a rebuild and stuff like that. But I think where we're at right now, Baker's like 28 maybe. And you know what I'm saying? He's just kind of like able to connect with the older players, not, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and just has a moxie and leadership about him that everybody likes in the locker room. And going from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, that could be a really big difference as far as leadership goes and expectations goes. But at what he's doing right now, he's handling it really well. Nobody expected us to be 2-0 right now. We play the Eagles next week. It's not a game that I'm expecting to win. But if we do win, I'm happy about it, and I'll be even more secure in how I'm feeling about Baker Mayfield. But if we lose, it's like, okay, it's the Eagles, the defending NFC champs. So if we actually have a good showing and not get blown out, that's even, that's good for me too. I just want to see what we can do, see if Baker can actually continue with what he's doing in prime time on Monday Night Football. Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a big one. But anyways, see what I did? I didn't mean to stay on that game too long. But next, Chiefs and Jags. Chiefs are able to get back on track, win 17-9. Chiefs, got back on track, but their offense still looks kind of shaky. The Jaguars look good, but it's like they couldn't really score in the red zone. I don't know. Jaguars are ready to take the next step, but maybe they get intimidated when they play the champions, the 2-time champion Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? It was in Jacksonville though. Let's see. The Packers beat the Falcons. Actually, no, the Falcons beat the Packers to go 2-0. In Atlanta, they won 25-24 over Jordan Love and the Packers. Jordan Love's looking better than expected. You know what I'm saying? He's doing some things out there, but when it mattered in the fourth quarter to kind of score and take them over the top and come back against the Falcons, whose running game looks pretty dominant. Bijan Robinson looks raw. And they don't throw the ball if they don't have to. So if they can control the game and run the ball and score touchdowns that way, they're going to do it. And Jordan Love didn't have enough to come back and, take them over the top. Clay, get up, get away from there. But yeah, the Packers lost to the Falcons 24-25. The Packers are 1-1, Falcons 2-0. Raiders lose to the Bills 38-10. Not really much to say about that game. The Bills lost last week, I believe, and they wanted to get back on track. They lost to the Jets, week 1. So they wanted to get back on track, and the Raiders did start off well, but the Bills kind of had to get their licks back and make an example of them because people are doubting Josh Allen. And if he can be productive and not turn over the ball all the time, and yeah, he kind of got back on track this week. 1-1 for the Bills, and the Raiders are 1-1, I believe, as well. Chargers play the Titans. The Titans beat the Chargers 27-24. Chargers, man, 0-2. They're looking good offensively. Keenan Allen's balling out. Justin Herbert's balling out. Austin Eckler did hurt his ankle and wasn't available this game, and they did shut down Robert Kelly. Joshua Kelly, I think his name is. Robert Kelly is R. Kelly. Josh Kelly didn't really, do what he did week 1, being Austin Eckler's backup. But yeah, the Titans were able to come back and steal a victory from the Chargers. Chargers 0-2, and I think the Titans are 2-0, I believe. I don't know. I don't remember if they won last week. 49ers beat the Rams 30-23 in LA. LA, put up a good fight though. Puka Nacua had like 25 catches which is kind of weird. 25 targets and like 20 catches. I don't know. Some crazy like that. One of the most catches for like a rookie in a whole long time. But they put up points and played some good defense in the beginning of the game. But the 49ers are kind of OP right now with Christian McCaffrey, with Deebo Samuel, and with George Kittle, with the offensive line, be able to move the ball the way they are in the scheme of Kyle Shanahan. It's kind of hard for anybody to beat them. And without Cooper Kupp and without a prominent running back, Matt Stafford is out there making it work with the weapons that he did have. But he didn't have enough. Ultimately, the 49ers defense kind of just shut everything down, and they were able to score some points in garbage time, but they weren't able to actually make that comeback that they were trying to make. The Rams go to 1-1. 49ers are 2-0 as of now, but they played the Monday Night Football game, which I'll tell you about, which they eventually go 3-0, obviously, because they played the Giants. But Giants beat the Cardinals 31-28. I guess the Cardinals were winning the whole game, and then the Giants actually made a comeback. My red zone actually stopped working after a while, so I didn't get to see what was going on in that game. But I did hear that the Cardinals were actually on the way to victory, but Daniel Jones, after getting embarrassed 40-0 week 1, was like, nah, I'm going to come back and do what I can. Saquon Barkley scored like 2 touchdowns, but they did lose him to a high ankle sprain, and they didn't have a Monday Night Football when they played the 49ers, which they got kind of stomped on, which I'll get to eventually. Jets and Cowboys. The Cowboys defense pretty much stomped the Jets without Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson looked super pedestrian, and he was making a bunch of mistakes, keeping the already super good Cowboys defense in the game. But yeah, you already know how that was going to turn out. After Aaron Rodgers went down, their kind of season's kind of expected to go in the tank. Let's see. Commanders and the Broncos. That was supposed to be another good game. Russell Wilson almost came back with the Hail Mary. Didn't get a 2-point conversion, so they ended up losing. Commanders are, I believe, 2-0 at this point, and the Broncos are 0-2. The Sean Payton, Russell Wilson thing isn't really working as thus far. They're trying to figure it out, but it's just causing a whole bunch of media scrutiny, which is probably eventually going to cause division in the locker room. But who am I? I don't know. But the Broncos do need to pick it up. They play, I think, the Lions this week, if I'm not mistaken. No, let me sit down here. I'll get to that in a minute, whatever. Dolphins and the Patriots. Dolphins were able to win 24-17. Dolphins looking really impressive right now. Their offense is really explosive. Tyreek Hill, even the other receivers, Waddle, of course, he got a concussion in this game, but Smythe, their other guys are just, Braxton Berrios are just able to make plays. The speed guys are able to make plays in space. And when they protect Tua is able to find the guys in space and get extra yards and do what he's needing to do. He had a bad turnover in the game, but other than that, he was able to beat the lowly Patriots. The Patriots offense is looking kind of pedestrian right now too. They're still trying to get themselves together. They believe in Mac Jones, but the offense isn't really looking that good. Putting points up is a struggle. The receivers aren't really fast. The running backs are good. They have Zeke and Ramondre Stevenson, but the receivers don't really have much speed, not much separation at all. So it's causing Mac Jones trouble. And their offense is cool, but it's usually when they're already losing and trying to come back. You know what I mean? So I believe they're 1-1. The Patriots, but yeah, the Dolphins are 2-0, looking like they're gonna win that division, looking like they can make a run this season. Mike McDaniel's doing a great job over there. Saints beat the Panthers 20-17, whatever, blah blah blah. Saints, forget those guys. And then Browns versus the Steelers we saw on the Sunday night football game. This is a terrible football game, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Both quarterbacks looked really bad and made a bunch of mistakes, which eventually led to the Steelers defense still sealing the game late in the game with the interception. Deshaun Watson, you know what I'm saying? Baker Mayfield's winning this after, divorce from the Browns, you know what I'm saying? The Browns thought they moved on and got Deshaun Watson, this star quarterback that's going to take them to the promised land, pay them all this money, set this new market for the quarterbacks and this dollar amount that the quarterbacks are getting and stuff, and kind of went out there and shit the bed the first couple of games and looked bad kind of coming back last season after the 6-game suspension. So we'll see, but Baker Mayfield's actually doing a lot better and showing a lot better. And I bet they wish they didn't give up on Baker. I think he had like 4 or 5 different offensive coordinators and head coaches over there in the Browns. Yeah. But anyways, that brings us to the week 3 and the spreads and predictions for next week. We already saw the 49ers, like I said, beat the Giants this week. Daniel Jones just looked clueless they're missing a guard, their right tackle, their running back. The receivers really didn't get no separation. There is some fast guys to have on the squad, but everything was a quick slant. Darren Waller was the main target, but it just looked like Daniel Jones wasn't comfortable at all throwing the ball in weird ass positions for Darren Waller to try to have Darren Waller on my fantasy team. So I'm kind of bitter about it right now. So I'm kind of talking like that about him. But yeah, Daniel Jones look out of sorts. And again, that 49ers offense look unstoppable. Christian McCaffrey can score whenever he wants. Deebo Samuels is untackleable. You can throw a quick slant to him, like a 5-yard slant. He'll just run through everybody to the end zone. You can throw a fucking post to him, a 10-yard post, he'll catch it, bounce off everybody. You can throw, just a go route, he'll catch it over everybody. He's just dangerous. And he didn't even have the real route guy out there, Ayuk, who can make stuff happen and open stuff up for Deebo and Kittle and all the other weapons. And you can just spread McCaffrey out and make him a receiver. And you got Juszczyk that's just willingly a blocker, goes out there and smashes people in the mouth. And then you have an offensive lineman that goes out there and punches people in the face. It's just wild. 49ers are primed to do some things this year. Them and the Cowboys are fighting to see who they can beat the worst, to have a better resume, to see who they can, who can win at the end of the year. We have to see, you know what I'm saying? There's a couple of teams in the NFC that may have a thing to say about how the Cowboys and the 49ers are being talked about in the NFC. And a couple of teams in the AFC might have something to say, like Miami might have something to say about the Bills and the Chiefs and the same run-of-the-mill teams that are trying to run the AFC. So the NFL can be different, man. After week 2, it's been some crazy games, some crazy results. But let's get into this week's 3 spreads and my predictions for those. So we already saw the San Francisco game, so I'm kind of late on that. But Cleveland versus Tennessee. They're in Cleveland. Cleveland's favored by 3 over Tennessee. Who do I got in that game? I don't know, man. Tennessee's quarterback situation is kind of shaky. The Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins thing is kind of, people you can go to and kind of expect production from on that offense. Cleveland Browns offense is looking kind of shaky, but that defense is looking really good. And if they can slow down Derrick Henry and shut down D-Hop, I think that could be an effective formula to beat the Titans. So I actually got the Browns. I'm hoping Deshaun Watson can shake it off and actually be productive for the team. But right now he's looking like a detriment to the team because that defense had him in the game on Sunday, but him turning the ball over as much as he did and grabbing people's face masks and throwing them on the ground just messed up a lot of stuff for them. But I got Tennessee. I got Cleveland at home, and probably the cover too. Atlanta versus Detroit. Atlanta's in Detroit. Detroit's favored by 3.5. I got Detroit. I'm not going for Atlanta. I like you, Eugene. I know he's on my team. Hope you score a touchdown or 2. I got Jahmyr Gibbs on the Detroit Lions too, so I can equally want to go for them. So, but I got Detroit by the 3.5. Yeah, I like that. Green Bay versus New Orleans. You already know who I got. Green Bay is at home. I got Green Bay all day. They're favored by 2, but I got them as well. Miami at Denver, or actually no, Denver at Miami. Miami's favored by 6.5. Ooh, that's high. But I got Miami. I don't know if they'll cover, but actually they'll probably cover because they'll probably blow these fools out. Yeah, I don't know how Russell Wilson's going to do. And that Miami defense is surprisingly good too, with Bradley Chubb out there doing well and healthy. Yeah, they're looking good out there. So yeah, I got Miami at home. The Chargers versus the Vikings. They're in Minnesota. The Chargers are favored by 1. I got the Chargers for sure. You already know what it is. Repping Justin forever. You know what I'm saying? Oregon till I die, boy. But yeah, I got Chargers to actually get their first win because 0-2 is not good. Especially if you lose. If you go 0-3, man, the odds of them making the playoffs or making a run in the AFC is probably not gonna be good for them. But I do got the Chargers in Minnesota. And then we got New England at the Jets. Whew. I think New England's probably going to win this game just because of Bill Belichick's defense and Zach Wilson's experience. You know what I mean? Unless they can get lucky and Garrett Wilson get open on some crazy plays and they can just run the ball really well with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. We'll see how that works. But if they can do that and just control the time of the game and get through that Bill Belichick defense, because we already know they have a great defense and we don't know what's going on with that New England defense. So I don't know who I'm going to pick in this one. But I'm gonna pick New England just because I feel like Bill Belichick will get it done in New York. Buffalo versus Washington. Buffalo's are visiting Washington. Washington Arts is 2-0. But I think Buffalo Bills are just gonna be on this mission to show that they are what people expect them to be this year. I got the Buffalo Bills in Washington. The spread is Buffalo by 6.5. That's another high ass one, but I do got Buffalo still. Jaguars are playing Houston Texans. Jags are at home. I think they rebound off after the loss to Kansas City. And I think they find the end zone quite a few times. They're favored by 9.5. So I think they will get in there and get shit done. Baltimore versus Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are at Baltimore. Baltimore's favored by 8. Damn, all these high ass spreads. I got Baltimore. I think they're on the road, going to get on track and actually maybe win that division after seeing how bad the Bengals are right now. Pittsburgh's offense is broken, and the Browns, yeah, their offense is kind of like weird too, especially with Bradley Chubb getting hurt. That injury was crazy. Yeah, how did I miss that? Yeah, don't go look it up on the internet. It's a second knee injury, but prayers out to Nick Chubb, because yeah, knee injuries for a running back. Me personally, I feel like they should put a rule in play to where running backs, if somebody's engaged with them up high, somebody can't go down low. You know what I mean? And if you go down low, I don't know. This rules that they put in place for receivers and quarterbacks. I think you need to give the running back a penalty and a way to protect themselves as well, because I feel like running backs get hurt really easily because the fact they're just running straight in the hole and you get hit first contact by people just full speed, and it's a little harder for receivers because they're very protected. Hard for quarterbacks to get hit because they're protected. Linemen are protected as well. But whatever. That's just me. Let's see. And then we got Seattle versus Carolina. Carolina's playing in Seattle. I think Seattle's actually going to win this game. Andy Dalton's starting. I think Bryce Young got hurt, so he's going to be out a couple of weeks. I think Seattle actually gets their second victory. Who else we got? Boom, boom. We got Kansas City playing the Chicago Bears. Chicago's visiting Kansas City. Ooh, shit, this may be the biggest one. Kansas City's favored by 12.5 at home. Kansas City is definitely going to win this game. The Bears, again, have no offense. Justin Fields doesn't really know what he's doing out there. It looks like him and the offensive coordinators are probably going to have a week together to get things together and just kind of get in the lab and fix things, because the media is already kind of trying to pit them against each other. But Kansas City's defense is probably going to stomp the Bears out pretty easily. The offense is still trying to find its way, but the DBs on the Bears, I don't think they have any DBs right now. The Bucks played them and destroyed their DBs, and they all got hurt. And then on the offensive side, I think their tackles hurt on the Bears, and the Chiefs have an up and coming defense that's showing out this year. So I got the Chiefs to win. I don't know if they're going to cover by that 12.5, but I got them. Cardinals and Cowboys. Cardinals are visiting Arizona. They're probably going to smack these boys. They did lose Trayvon Diggs, another knee injury. Trayvon Diggs tore his ACL at practice, is out for the season. But the Cardinals are starting Dobbs. I don't think they'll be able to really do much offensively. We'll see if Hollywood Brown's able to exploit Diggs being out, but who knows? That defense has still got all their pass rushers, and they've been causing havoc on offensive lines and sacking the quarterback and taking the ball away. So they'll still probably be able to do that at a high rate, and the Cardinals are trying to get the number 1 and 2 picks with a high draft pick. So I think they'll probably lose that game, but again, I don't know Cowboys been blowing people out, so they may lose by that spread of 12.5, because this game is 12.5 too in favor of the Cowboys. Pittsburgh plays in Vegas this week. Vegas is favored by 2.5 at home. Pittsburgh, again, their offense, I don't know what's going on. Kenny Pickett, it looks like he doesn't really know what to do. It didn't look like he did at the end of last year when they went on a run, winning like 6 games in a row. But they're playing in Vegas. Jimmy Garoppolo and Devonta Adams are looking pretty good. Josh Jacobs isn't doing really well yet, but I think they get it together. Well, I mean, Pittsburgh defense is really good, but we'll see what happens with them, and we'll see what happens with the Raiders. But I got the Pittsburgh Steelers probably in this game because the Raiders they show good in the beginning and they always let you get down towards the end of the game. So I got Pittsburgh against that spread. Oh yeah, I got the Cowboys and I got the Chiefs in the last two. I don't really say. Philadelphia is going to play the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. You already know how I feel about this. Talk a little bit about this when I was talking about Baker Mayfield earlier. I think the Bucs have a chance to win the game. I think we're going to go in there and give it our all. I don't think we're going to get blown out. It's a home game. Again, the offense of the Eagles doesn't really look like it really knows its identity yet. Hopefully, we can catch them before they actually catch that identity or remember what their identity is. Hope we can stop the run, stop Jalen Hurts, and I feel like we are going to get hit for some passes. Devontae Smith is hella fast, and AJ Brown's hella strong. So I think our corners are big and kind of Jamel Dean is kind of like 6'2", 6'3". He's fast, but he's kind of thin. And then Carlton Davis is prone to get a penalty or two in pass interference. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully Antoine Winfield and Neal coming back can shore up that secondary, can help in the secondary. And they were healing up last week so they can come back for this week against the Eagles on Monday Night Football. But I don't necessarily think we're going to win super confident about it, but I think we can. So I'm picking the Bucs. Or, the Philadelphia Eagles are favored by 5.5. I think it's like 5 now, maybe even 4.5. So that tells me we have a chance. You know what I'm saying? Cincinnati versus Los Angeles. Cincinnati favored by 2 at home against the Rams. The Rams kind of been showing out last couple of weeks offensively. I mean, defensively, they still have stuff, some holes with the departures of some, Jalen Ramsey and some other pieces there. But I think that they'll get it together. And the pieces they do have on their offense and defense, though they're not their main pieces that they had last year or their best pieces, they're still showing out and holding their own. Cincinnati, again, hasn't really played that well thus far, and I think Joe Burrow's still dealing with that calf injury. So I think if there's a game to steal, I think the Rams can steal this game from the Bengals and send the Bengals to 0-3, which will be interesting because those statistics don't really say a team that's 0-3 can go on a run and make the playoffs like that. So again, I got the Rams in that game. I'm going to take a risk with the Rams, even though they're Cincinnati's favored by 2 at home. So just reviewing my picks, I know I said I'll review the other ones with you. It's kind of short notice, but I didn't do it week 1. But again, I'm good, bro. I know my predictions were right. You ain't even got to check me out. You can just go take my word for it. I got them all right, and we good. But again, let's just go over that. I got the Titans over the Browns in Cleveland. I got Detroit at home versus the Falcons. I got the Packers at home versus the Saints. I got Miami at home versus Broncos. I got the Chargers in Minnesota. I got New England at the Jets. I got Buffalo at the Commanders. I got the Jags at home versus the Texans. I got Baltimore at home versus the Colts. I got Seattle at home versus the Panthers. I got Kansas City at home versus the Bears. I got Dallas Cowboys in Arizona. I got the Pittsburgh Steelers in Vegas. I got the Buccaneers at home versus the Eagles. And I got the Rams in Cincinnati for the upset over the Bengals, sending them to 0-3. Yeah, that's what I got. That's what I got, man. And that's week 3 previews and spreads and all that stuff. If you want to bet and have the predictions off of my preferences, you can go and do so. But don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Maybe we'll get some prize picks and some betting stuff on here soon. Because again, me and my homies actually have a group chat where we put in a lot of prop bets. It's legal in California out here. So we do prop bets on all the games, all the sports that are available, WNBA, NBA, NFL, baseball, soccer, tennis, everything. There's prop bets. All you got to do is put less or more. But we'll get into that later. Prize pick, if you want to sponsor us, go ahead and just hit us up. Best of Bias Podcast will gladly sponsor or gladly be a part of the prize pick gang. You know what I'm saying? Get us a little promo code. That'll be sick. But moving on here, let's talk a little bit about fantasy because that's connected to NFL. Hope everybody's doing good in their fantasy leagues. Let me drink some water real quick. Let me get a little water in me. Ooh. Stay hydrated, everybody. Make sure you get your liquids in you. Very, 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 very important. But anyways, fantasy football. Hope everybody's doing good, man. I know there's some big money on the line. Best of Bias Invitational. We got $100 on the line this year. Everybody knows what's good. Everybody's paid up. Now everybody knows what's at stake. Everybody's trying to win $1,200. $1,200 on the line. You know what I'm saying? So $1,200 worth of prize money. Third place gets their money back. $200 for second place. You know what I'm saying? A little something. So it's out here. You pay attention to your team, set your lineups. Don't lollygag. Last year we had some snafus, but this year we're off to a good start. Though I lost last week or this week, excuse me. And I'm getting smacked because I think I'm playing against George Kittle and Debo Samuels in one of my leagues. But sheesh. I'm doing good, man. I had a big high scoring output for the first 2 weeks, though I lost my second week. I put up a big score, which is good for my points for. And, scoring against those top teams that do beat me, just make sure they have hella points against them, unless, just in case it comes down to a tiebreaker and I have to have more points than this person or have, a win over this person. I'll be highly stacked with points and I'll be putting points up against people. I got a team that's pretty raw. But anyways, last week's scores, let's talk about these, even though I don't really want to talk about last week's scores. Your boy ended up losing to Cam's Catering, Kevin's team, 147 to 134. Shoot, it's crazy. We both have players that went off. Mike Evans went off for him. Keenan Allen went off for me. Who did I have? Tyreek Hill go off for a bunch of points. He had somebody on his side go off for a bunch of points. It was like the output for both of those players were equal to the point where we had the same exact points at one point from those players. The output for my main receiver was exactly the same, and output for his main running back and my main running back was exactly the same or something like that. It was weird. But he ended up winning off of having Michael Thomas, and I had those extra points to edge me out on the Sunday night football game. I think Kevin's 2-0 now, and I'm 1-1 dropping the fourth place. Kevin's in first place now. Itty Bitty, which I think is Derek's team now, he won against just a running back living paycheck to paycheck, which is Yancey, 127 to 107. Shenanigans, which is Deshaun, lost to K-Swag, which is Kyle, 131 to 108. Pay Dirt, Jason lost to You're Not the Boss of Me, with Sean, lost to 137 to 102, Sean Gamble. Dijon's Dazzling Team lost to Unanimous, 123 to 110. Yep, Unanimous. I think he's 1-1 now. Dijon's 0-2, I believe. Hot Boys was actually able to get a win over Sean's championship team, 153 to 126. Damn, 153. I didn't even notice you were the high scorer of the week, John. Good shit. Hot Boys, high score of the week, 153. Whew, that's big time. So for the standings for this week, let me see if I can get that in here for you real quick. I didn't have those ready. I should have, which is my fault, y'all. But let me go to the pot. Let me bam, 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 bam. What league is this? Not the right league. Bam, 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 bam. All right, so first place, we got Kevin with Cam's Catering, 2-0. K-Swag in second place at 2-0. Itty Bitty, which is Derek, 2-0 at third place. Fourth place is me, 1-1. Fifth place, Hot Boys John coming in at 1-1. Sixth place, Shenanigans at 1-1. You're Not the Boss of Me in seventh at 1-1. Unanimous in eighth at 1-1. Ninth, we got Dijon's Dazzling Team at 1-1. Just running back living paycheck to paycheck. Yancey's at 0-2. Sean's championship team, which is Sean Middleton's at 0-2. And then Pay Dirt coming in last place at 12th is Jason at 0-2, man. You guys need to make those moves, dog. It's time to make those moves. I mean, it's only week 2, but I mean, you know what I mean? I think it's only like 13, 14 weeks until the playoffs actually start. For the fantasy league, 6 teams make the playoffs, so they cut it off pretty early So all these games matter. If you go on 3, it's going to be a tough road for you. It's going to be time to make some trades, you know what I'm saying? But again, a championship belt is coming with this year's league. And I might get a bigger loser trophy too, so y'all get more motivated not to get last place. We need to put some penalties in play. You know what I'm saying? We're just doing regular. If you lose, you lose. 12th place, ha ha ha. Nah, bro. If you get 12th place, especially if you get it multiple times, we got to make you do something that's kind of embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing no elimination league to where it's like, okay, if you get last place, you're out of the league type shit. That's fucked up. But It's time. It's time to make that move. I'm 1-1. I ain't perfect. I lost last week on a technicality. I'm making moves right now for my teams to try to get back on track, to get back in that first place running. You know what I'm saying? Top 6. You want to be in top 6 all year. And again, you want to be in the top 1, stacking up them wins and those points. So when it comes down to it, if you do start losing, you lose some players due to a bye or just getting hurt, you can have that security of having those wins stacked and you're getting ready to be there, where it needs to be towards the end of making the playoffs. Making the playoffs is all that matters. I know. I think the first place team, maybe the two first place teams, get buys, so that is beneficial. So you can just sit there and see what happens down in the bottom in the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. But sometimes that can hurt you too, because maybe your team has a good matchup in the first round of the playoffs, but you're not playing. Your points don't even count. So, maybe that could be wasted, and having the bye can hurt you in the long run. But anyway, just stack those teams, stack them wins up so you can try to stack these dollars. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to being up here in the top. You know what I'm saying? You don't want me to start talking my shit. I'm kind of like a little waiting for some players to get off of my team. Jameer Gibbs, I'm still waiting for something out of him. I'm looking for my running backs. My running back is kind of shaky right now. I got James Conner, Jameer Gibbs. Who's my other RB1? I don't remember who exactly my other RB1 is. Jameer Gibbs and littering and smoking the reefer. No, but I don't know. I'm just hoping for my team to get better. Tyreek Hill's my big point getter. I got the stack with Herbert and Keenan Allen. Also got Laporta as my other tight end. You know what I'm saying? The rookie from I don't know exactly where. I think he went to Iowa. Did he go to Iowa? I don't know exactly where he went, but he's looking like Jared Goff's little target there. I know I have a good running back. Who's my other running back? Hold on. I gotta look this up now. I'm tripping. I know I got another good. My 2 is bad, but my 1 is kind of good. Jameer Gibbs, James Conner. Yeah, damn, that's my running backs. Sheesh, I thought I had a better one than that. I went Jameer Gibbs. I kind of just threw it all in there because I got AJ Brown as my number 2 receiver. So But anyways, let's get out of this fantasy talk, man. But Best of Bias Football League, get your shit together if you want to win this money. And again, if you want to be on the pod, don't be scared, bro. I'm waiting for y'all. Again, I know being on the pod is kind of an intimidating thing to do. And I know it's not everybody don't want to be out there and get their business on blast because we'd be out there on YouTube and people be hella self-conscious about stuff. And I don't blame them, man. It'd be you. And when you're ready, I'll be here for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Drinking water, ready to interview y'all and introduce y'all to the Best of Bias family because, the family's expanding. My new hats, too, y'all. The new hats are fire. Oh, it's gross. Sorry. You guys saw that. You didn't need to see that. AKA, you can blank it out or something if you need to. And don't worry about how my PlayStation's sitting, too. It might be sitting wrong. I'm not exactly sure if it's supposed to be sitting on a stand like that, but anyways, let me not get too off track. I'm trying to get through this here. College football. Let's check in. Oregon rolls. We beat Hawaii last week, 55-10, like we were supposed to do. Bo Nix, 21 for 27, 247 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tez Johnson, his adopted brother, 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown catches, excuse me. Our running back trio: Noah Winnington, Bucky Irving, Jordan James, going out there scoring touchdowns, running the ball, and kind of just like getting whatever they wanted. It's kind of crazy. Our receivers as well. Other receivers, Bryant, our transfer from USC, and of course Troy Franklin, our number 1 receiver. Bo missed on some long bombs out there to Troy, but after a while we beat up on him so bad we kind of let off our starters and let them sit out a little bit after they did what they did in the beginning, first couple of quarters. Our D-line, our freshman Ugalele, Mateo, DJ's brother, the quarterback over there on Oregon State, is doing good. Brandon Dorless. We got a bunch of guys. Mace Funa still there after a couple of years with that extra year eligibility due to COVID. We're actually out there pressing, pushing the pocket and getting the quarterbacks, getting some sacks now. Our DBs are still scary. I know Oregon's kind of like a DBU. Last year we got Christian Gonzalez out there drafted to the Patriots. He out there shutting down Tyreek Hill last week when we played him. Though he scored a touchdown when Christian Gonzalez was on Tyreek Hill, I think he only caught like 1 ball and almost got an interception. I think he did get a pick. When he was targeted. But yeah, they're out there. They leave room for improvement. It's going to be trouble when we play the Colorado State this week. I should just get into it. Yeah, we beat Hawaii 55-10. 55, what was it? 55-10 with like we were supposed to. But this week we have a bigger challenge ahead of us. I should talk about Colorado first. We play Colorado in Eugene this week. A bigger test, a tougher offense. We did play Texas Tech, and they gave us all that we can handle. But I feel like this week we're actually going to be able to do something. And I think we're ready for it. But let me just talk a little bit about CU really quickly here. Coach Prime. Let me do a little something I like to call the dual cameras. You feel me? Uh, Let me get into it. So dual cameras on them. Coach Prime. I love Coach Prime. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a hater. I am not a hater with anything that Colorado has going. I know in the past you probably heard me say some stuff about Colorado, make some jokes in passing about Colorado because they're kind of a rival of Oregon's. But the attention and the hype that he's bringing, Coach Prime is bringing to Colorado is dope. It's cool. It's good. It's great. I love it. I love it. I love to see a black man winning. I love to see what he's doing at the school. I love to see everything that he's doing for the school. But this week right here, the week that he's playing right here, week 4 for him, I think it is, week 3. They played TCU, CSU, Nebraska. Yeah, they playing us now week 4. When they play Oregon, when they come to Eugene, I don't think it's gonna go like everybody expecting. The national media, I mean, I don't want to sound like a hater. I don't want to sound like I don't like Coach Prime, but I just feel like they're going up against a different animal when they're playing Oregon this week. This is Oregon we're talking about, the cream of the crop of the Pac-12, the jerseys, the Puddles the Duck doing the push-ups, shout and going into the 4th quarter. You know what I'm saying? In Eugene Stadium, it's not going down. I know you brought all those stars to Colorado. I know what you're doing for it, and I love it. I love what you're doing for the program over there, bringing all the notoriety, bringing the stars, bringing the recruits, bringing the money. Keep doing it. I want you to keep doing it. You're going to the Big 12 next year, another division, get even more notoriety. You probably run that division. I bet you will. But this week, Prime, we're going to do something. If we lose, I'll take all this back. And there's a chance their offense gets off and does what they need to do against us to score some points. But I do not believe they have what it takes to beat us when it matters. Offense, defense, lines on both sides, I think they're superior to what they have over there in Colorado. They were able to do what they did to TCU because TCU was a fraud. TCU was a fraud. Nebraska fraud. CSU shouldn't even been in the game with you guys. It was really hyped up. It was a rivalry game. Hunter got hurt. I know it's a bummer. It's how the game goes. It was a cheap shot. Guys should not be getting death threats. That's one thing, but it was a cheap shot. That's really unfortunate, especially with this stretch of games that Colorado has coming up against Oregon, playing USC next week. But USC plays in Boulder. So it's going to be a great game. Again, it's bringing a whole bunch of notoriety to Colorado. Prime's charisma, Prime's relatability, his ability to talk to people, to make a group gravitate towards him and buy into what he's doing, I think is great. I think Prime going and sitting in couches, families, and trying to recruit people's sons to Colorado is a great thing for not only the people getting recruited, not only for Colorado, not only for the families knowing that their coach cares and that actually is going to do what it takes to help your son get to the next level and be safe and feel like I have this person, I'm sweating that bad, that is there to actually help my son get to the next level and not just use him to make a whole bunch of money for this university. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's really cool. But I don't. This game is big this week. This big game is really big. Dan Lanning in his 2nd year is attempting to do something that Oregon hasn't done in a long time, well, ever, win a national championship. But go back to the college football playoff. We were there in the first year when we played Florida State, I believe, and beat Jameis Winston going to the championship. I think we lost to Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken. But this game is going to be big. It's going to be a primetime game on Fox. This is like the 3rd, 4th primetime game for CU. We barely ever get on TV. Actually, Oregon's on TV a lot, but to get on primetime every week, Oregon would never be able to do that. Oregon's never been able to do that. So for the Buffs to do that and come to Eugene with the hype and think that they're just going to walk in and beat us like they did TCU, walk in and do us like they did Nebraska, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't want to sound like, braggadocious or anything like that, but bro, we worked for this. We built this team. It's taken years. I mean, this is Dan Lanning's second year, but you don't understand how many years it took for us to get right and have our recruiting right and get our right quarterback after Justin Herbert left. It's just not going to be no walk in the park. I mean, I love what Coach Prime is doing, but I don't think you're just going to walk in one season with a bunch of transfers and put a team together and just beat the cream of the crop of the Pac-12 like it's nothing. You're not just going to beat Oregon. You're not just going to beat USC. You're not just going to beat Washington. You're not just going to beat Utah. Just being as your prime time and feel like people can just, you can get people to push to the limits just because you're prime and things your word and your gospel can just push people to the next level. I know trust me, again, I love Coach Prime. I love everything he represents over there at CU, but I think it's not no cakewalk like it's been the first 3 weeks coming into this Pac-12 play. And yeah, luckily he's only have to experience it for 1 year. He's going to the Big 12 next year, like I said before, but it's not going to be no cakewalk. This Pac-12 stuff, especially with all these teams ranked, it's tough, and it's a different monster, man. And we might get a good 2 or 3 teams in the playoffs playing like we playing right now in the Pac-12. So it's not going to be a cakewalk, Prime. And welcome Eugene, and we're going to see what's going to happen on Saturday, 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. It's going down. Prime time in Eugene. We got this. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, sorry, I had to do another 2 videos, but yeah, it just sucks, man. I do feel bad for Travis Hunter though. He's only a sophomore, so he does have 1 more year eligibility. Well, yeah, a whole bunch of years eligibility, but he probably won't stay in the college for too long, depending on what kind of NIL money he gets. That's the whole thing with Sador and Shiloh right now. Sanders, they don't, I don't think they're ready for the NFL necessarily, but Deion's saying that I think he's kind of saying they ain't ready, but saying it in the nicest way possible. I know Shiloh is not going to get drafted high, and I think Sador going in against all these quarterbacks that are going to come out this year, I think he will kind of get drafted a little bit lower. Though it may be good for him as far as like going to a better team, maybe sitting behind somebody that help him learn. But money wise, he probably wants to get drafted high. So I advise he probably, and everybody else is kind of probably advising that he stays in school, gets better. He's learning under Tom Brady. You can get a whole bunch of offseason help under Tom Brady. Who else can get help from Tom Brady to get better at your craft? Who knows better than Tom Brady what it takes to be an NFL quarterback than Tom Brady? So I think that's going to be beneficial for him to stay. His brother's going to get way better. They'll get a 1 year in the Pac-12 to get experience with these. It's going to be a tough road. I'm telling you, it's going to be a tough road for him in the Pac-12. But once he gets to the Big 12, he'll be ready to play some of those Texas teams. He'll get a whole bunch of recruits in next year. The big guys that he needs for the trenches to actually compete against bigger guys. It took us a while to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know, like, it's not a flash, especially in the Pac-12. Like, you won some games, but there's low expectations already. So for him to win the way he's doing now, of course, people are like, yeah, this is really cool to see. But yeah, if it was that easy, Oregon would have won the Pac-12 every year. You know what I'm saying? But every year there's a new challenger. Every year there's a new crop of recruits that come into the Pac-12 and just shows out. They cannibalize themselves. You know what I'm saying? Those teams can't really go to the top because every year they have to play each other and they knock each other out or give each other just that loss to take them out of playoff contention. You know what I'm saying? Especially with Utah and USC. Washington is looking crazy right now, and us with Oregon is just going to be a crazy race to see who wins the Pac-12 in general. So for them to expect Prime to win every game convincingly is just going to be crazy. And I think that, people realizing that, and I know there's not as much hype on, Colorado winning this game as there was. Of course, they're going to beat all the other teams they played. But I think the expectations calming down now is good because, you don't want to put too much expectations on his back. And then once he doesn't win the national championship, everybody's like, oh, yes, let's fire the guy. Or let's not think he's actually capable of doing the job. No, he is. He's probably going to do a great job. Excellent job, especially in the next coming years. But nobody has ever been first year on the team, had 70 recruits just transfer in and then just win every game and win the national championship. That's just not going to happen. It's a great story. Again, we love Prime. We love everything he represents. But, bruh, can we calm down with the hype? Like, every Instagram post is about Deion Sanders in Colorado, bro. I've never... Deion gets a ticket on his Lambo for parking wrong at CU. Like, what? Man, I don't care, bro. Just let them play. Shador shows his watch to the CSU coach at the end. Bro, it's okay. We'll get it. Just play football. Let's play football. It's a long season. A lot of stuff's going to happen. eventually. I mean, I know he's new to the Pac-12, but this conference is crazy. Though it's not going to be around very long, you're going to learn that once you get to the end of this Pac-12 play, it's going to get nuts. Yeah. Let me talk a little bit about this. This is interesting too. This one little pop culture kind of sports topic I got here. T.O. versus Stephen A. Smith. I don't know if you guys have seen this in the news recently, but it's T.O. and Stephen A. Smith got beef, man. I don't know if you saw that clip famously back when Max Kellerman was on First Take. I forgot the situation exactly it was, but it was a clip. It said it was an interview, and T.O. was like, Stephen A., Max Kellerman's blacker than you. It was going. Maybe it was during the NBA stuff when they're or NFL stuff when they're taking knees and stuff like that. I don't know. I remember exactly what it was, but it's been beef since then, I guess. I guess behind the scenes, T.O. has been trying to sue Stephen A. for airing that clip or making him look bad in that clip. Stephen A. talks mess on ESPN because he has a platform to do so. He has his podcast where he can say pretty much whatever he wants, and people listen. So they're going to pick up a lot more of what Stephen A. says than T.O. T.O. is a big guy, and though he can kind of probably beat up and intimidate Stephen A. in the long run, I just kind of feel like yeah. Yeah. Nothing's really gonna happen because I know Stephen A is probably always gonna have security. I know he's probably gonna get embarrassed by Stephen A to the point where he's gonna want to fight Stephen A, and he's not gonna be able to do it. I mean, Stephen A keeps saying, you know where I'm at. If you want to talk to me, come see me about some. They're at the Colorado game on the sidelines. They both saw each other. Nothing happened. Of course, that was a classy thing to do as two brothers. Don't blow up the spot. And give them white people there what they want to see, a bunch of craziness on the sideline, go out there and be prestigious like the men you are, the prestigious black men you are, and just hold it down for prime and just, behave yourself. You got beef, handle that externally. Don't do that while Coach Prime is trying to do his thing. You know what I'm saying? Again, you know what I'm saying? I'm all about Coach Prime when it's not against Oregon. I hope they beat USC. I really do. But I hope they lose to us first. But anyways, but yeah, I don't know what it is, man, but it just seems like they want to fight each other. I guess on Joe Budden's podcast, I guess he was talking a little bit about T.O. I guess that's why it got brought back up because I know this situation happened a long time ago. And shout out Damo, he's working for Shirley Temple, and they had T.O. on recently, but can't really talk about it. You can't really talk about that kind of stuff because it's something really, when you get lawyers involved and stuff like that, you can't really go out there and talk about stuff, especially when it's stuff that people try to handle legally. They're really going to keep that behind closed doors. If there's cases going on, they'll keep that shit behind closed doors. But both of them, I think Stephen A got plenty of money. And he said he's not getting a dime from him. So if T.O. does need money and is trying to get money out of him by trying to sue him, it's not going to work. I don't know. Stephen A is just walking on money right now and can do whatever and say whatever he wants to say. But shout out T.O. I mean, I'm not saying nothing bad about T.O. I'm sure he has a say and has a viewpoint too. I'm sure Stephen A can be arrogant sometimes, especially again being the money making man, running ESPN the way he's running ESPN and doing all the shit that he's doing right now. Traveling private jets to Colorado games, him and Shannon. Doing whatever they want to do. They talk about weed on First Take now. It's kind of crazy. She's getting the Shannon effect. You know what I mean? But man, I hope they don't fight, and I hope they can hash it out. T.O. be beefing with a lot of people, especially media guys. But I feel it though. Throughout his career, he was thrashed a lot in the media, and when you're out of the league, I guess it's your time where you can go back and push back against these guys and stuff like that. But shouts out to them. I thought it was interesting though that it came back up and Stephen A out there talking that mess. You know what I'm saying? It's so funny to hear him talk like that. I'm so happy that he opened up and kind of does podcasts now and kind of is in more spots and kind of shows himself, lets his hair down a little bit more. And all his hard work is paying off, man. Shouts out to Stephen A. A lot of people like him. Some people don't like him, you know what I'm saying? But I respect him and the stuff that he's doing, opening doors for people on his show, Ryan Clark, Swagoo, Mad Dog, though he already had his thing, but just like just I don't know if it was Stephen A's suggestion, but him being on there kind of gives it a little flavor. And then Mad Dog is kind of like letting his hair down now and kind of getting used to everybody being around. Him and JJ are always the funniest, but I respect it. I respect them in Undisputed, man. They both offer really good like services to people out there. People wake up in the morning and want to hear about stuff that happened in sports and hear their opinions on stuff. Because if not, the ratings wouldn't be so high. They wouldn't brag about that, and they wouldn't be on the air for so many years doing what they do, man. So Shouts out the First Take. Shouts out to Undisputed. All these sports networks for being able to stay afloat and give us the shit that we love and keep that all of our sports news right in our face. And even though sometimes you kind of like be going off the rails and talking too much mess about these players and causing a lot of stress, I'm sure. But yeah, if we didn't have these shows, I don't know if we would be able to have access to information the way we do now. And I think it's really beneficial, man. I'm a type of guy that kind of wakes up every morning and seeks that kind of information in the sports and pop culture world. So this gives me they give me my angles of in places where I can go do that and be myself and just get my feed and get my feel of stuff so I can bounce it back to you guys. And the world keeps going round and round. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, Cinema Corner, we'll end it out. Finish it off with a little Cinema Corner. Ahsoka episode 6 came out Tuesday. Watched it Tuesday night. Watched it again Wednesday. Interesting episode. We saw in episode 5. Ahsoka came back. Pretty much. After Sabine got taken, Ahsoka started asking a bunch of questions about what happened, and they kind of went out to try to find where Sabine and all the others, the Dark Sisters or whatever, and the little witch lady and the other Jedis, where they took Sabine and that big ass ring that they warped with. Excuse me, wow, that was gross. They we saw them warp. We didn't know where they went because they destroyed the map. But again, we saw that Ahsoka was able to use the Force to talk to. I have what the whales are called. They're not called space whales. They're called. Damn, I fucking forgot. I put it in my other thing. But anyways, they got inside the space whale's mouth, and the space whales can fly through hyperspace. So they're able to use the space whales to fly to the planet where the space ring went and teleported to with Sabine. Amongst their arrival at this planet, they were actually greeted by these 3 witch sisters. I think they're called the Dark Sisters, which the witch lady that's been trying to get them there this whole time is a descendant of. And then as they're there, we see Sabine get taken away to a prison, and then we see a big ass ship, which was actually called the Chimera. I'm getting filled in and watched a couple of videos on Rebels because this shit continues just to have these Easter eggs from Rebels that if you didn't see it, you don't really know what's going on. So this is I like Ahsoka so much from just what I saw outside of Rebels. I watched the Clone Wars a little bit, the cartoon, that I was actually interested in seeing this show. Now I'm like, God damn, I don't really know. I need AKA on here displaying some shit to me because I don't really know what's going on. But I did watch a review video. Once they did get to this planet, the witch lady, I'm gonna keep calling her that because I don't know her name, was actually over here looking for Admiral Thrawn, who has an army of goddamn clones who I guess were all resurrected soldiers that were killed. They're all exiled to this place, I guess in Rebels. The space whales got a hold of Admiral Thrawn, and they warped his ass to this planet that they were stuck on. But when they did, Ezra Bridger was teleported out there too, and that's who Sabine is looking for. And again, Ezra is a Jedi, somebody that was being trained to be a Jedi, and was Sabine's good friend. Again, Sabine's Ahsoka's Padawan. So with the Ezra being taken, it kind of I think that's what the straw that broke the camel's back. Ahsoka wasn't really interested in being a good teacher because we saw her in last episode. She still had internal strife with her and her previous master, abandoning her and her leaving her master and thinking her master kind of just kind of didn't really have internal relief on the reasons why she did it, or that couldn't really deal with the fact that her I don't know, what do they call it? Her Jedi leader, I don't know, the person that her trainer, ended up going to the dark side and becoming bad. But anyways, once they found Thrawn out there, Admiral Thrawn's kind of basically his motivations were to get back to the world and kind of start a war and just kind of attack, because he was defeated and exiled for about 10 years, I guess the timeline was. And he's had this army, was out here floating around in this dead planet for so long. He was just trying to find a way out so he can get back, and just been planning to start a war and just get back on top and probably rule everything. But Sabine is just coming to this place. I don't. She willingly gave up the map in the early episodes because she wanted to find Ezra. She knows she destroyed the map like Ahsoka told her to do. So Admiral Thrawn couldn't be found. She knew that she wouldn't be able to find Ezra. So she didn't destroy the map. She gave it to the Dark Jedi dude who then kidnapped her and took her to the place. But man, I think this Jedi dude has ulterior motives, and I think he's actually a good guy, kind of cascading around as a bad guy. But either way, once they did get to the planet and they let Sabine go, Thrawn was like, you were able to help these people get here, so I'm gonna let you go and not kill you, and go ahead and go out there and try to find Ezra. He might be dead, but you can go out there and try to find him. And he kind of just thought that should either be killed by the cannibal people, the natives that lived out there, or that once she did find Ezra, he can send those Jedi people out there to kill him, or they can get killed by the Admiral himself. But ultimately, Sabine does go out there. She does find Ezra while going through a whole bunch of trials and tribulations with her little wolf dog guy. And then the Jedis go out to find Sabine if they find Ezra and try to kill him. But I think they're actually just going to recruit them. You see the older Jedi guy kind of talking about he wants to stay on that planet and restart his own little Jedi Order type of thing. I think that's what he's trying to do. But at the same time, Admiral Thrawn is going to try to kill him at the same time. So I think that's what's going to cause him to join up probably with Sabine and Ezra to help them get off the planet. Again, they're probably just going to take the angle of once Ahsoka gets to the planet, they're going to have Admiral Thrawn try to kill Ahsoka, and they're going to attack Ahsoka, with Admiral Thrawn actually being able to warp out and get away back to the world to start a war. But Ahsoka actually gets to the planet, so she's actually able to save Sabine, Ezra, and everybody that's stuck there, and probably the two Jedis there that are going to turn good, and they're probably going to be able to get away from that planet and use the tracking from the whales to do so. But then ultimately, we're going to have probably like a in-game situation or an Infinity War situation where the bad guy does end up winning. Admiral Thrawn's probably going to end up escaping and probably destroying that fleet that was waiting outside. You know, when the ring warped and it kind of took out some of the X-fighters, the X-fighters. I think he's going to pop out, warp out there, and just destroy them, just showing how powerful it is. Heavy spoilers kind of gave me this, because I didn't see Rebels, but heavy spoilers, I watch them a lot for stuff that I don't really understand or stuff that I want to get a deeper view on in the comic book, cinema world, you know what I'm saying, and Star Wars, Marvel, and stuff like that. So they kind of told me that, gave a little hint that it's probably going to end up ending with Admiral Thrawn, because he's probably going to be a character that's linked to the Mandalorian, probably Ahsoka and some other people that are all, or Boba Fett, you know what I'm saying? So we have storylines and movies with all these people. So Admiral Thrawn just kind of connects and is related to all of them. So I think we're gonna get a bunch of series of Ahsoka, a bunch of seasons with Admiral Thrawn being the main antagonist. And though they're going to probably ultimately have the bad guy winning in the end, Ahsoka will be able to save Sabine and Ezra, and we'll get a whole bunch of dead Jedis together to go help fight this war against Admiral Thrawn. That's what I think. From a guy who has not seen Rebels or the whole thing of the Clone Wars or nothing like that, that's just as I'm taking the ride along with y'all, that's just kind of what I think is going to happen. What y'all think? If y'all like what I'm saying down here, comment at the bottom. You're like, this boy right. But if not, just let me know. Educate me, because I'm not, the biggest Star Wars guy in the world. You feel me? But hey, I'm doing what I can. Maybe I can get AKA on the next one, so we can get there and explain what happened so far, so you can just catch us up. Hopefully we can get another promo, a cool ass promo too, showing some stuff too that I was talking about. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a noob here. I'm just a humble guy trying to learn more about the Star Wars world that I admire so much. You feel me? A couple of things that I'm watching before we get out of here. I know you guys saw my promo I just posted about the Changeling. I said episodes 1 through 3 are out. That's back when I watched the first 3 episodes. There's like 5 episodes out now. Comes out every Friday. So on Apple Plus, check it out. You know what I'm saying? It's another little something to watch. Just started on Apple Plus. Lakeith Stanfield doing his thing again. I said that last time. I am watching The Challenge. The Challenge USA started. We're deep in there now. Challenge USA, if you're not familiar, it's just all the USA kind of challenges from the shows on CBS. I think it's Big Brother, Amazing Race, Survivor, stuff like that. And of course, The Challenge. Just try to qualify to be on the World Championships. We actually have another challenge challenge starting sometime in October of the regular cast members we know and love, just doing a regular challenge. So we got that going as well. And I'm definitely going to be watching that. Survivor, I think season 43, I think it is, starts next week, September 28th on Wednesday, I believe it is. So we got a bunch of stuff to watch. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new one's already out on Prime. If you have Amazon, or excuse me, on what is it? Paramount Plus. So if you have Paramount Plus, you can catch that on there already. What else am I watching? And is there to watch? I did start watching this show on Peacock, man. Killing It with Craig Robinson. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. You know what I'm saying? It's a really good show. Again, I watched Twisted Metal as well. I told you guys about that. I reviewed that a little bit, but Killing It with Craig Robinson. Watch that. It's on Peacock now. What else am I watching that music-wise, P. Diddy dropped an album. I think it's called the Love Album, Off the Grid. All R&B songs, a whole bunch of great production, and a whole bunch of artists that make really good music. If you're interested in R&B, go check that out. Some really good stuff out right now. For the dogs, whatever that Drake album is supposed to be called. It's not out yet, man. It's been 2 weeks for like 7 weeks. And when I originally put out that video a long time ago talking about it's supposed to come out, I was embarrassed, and we've been embarrassed since then, bro. And that single that they put out, Slime You Out with SZN, I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. That ain't it. I didn't like it. I don't know if you guys liked it out there, but it's not something you give us after having us wait 1,700 weeks for the albums to come out. You didn't do that for the dogs. You did that for something else. I think you did that for the cats. That's what I think. But anyways, man, this is the end of the podcast. I'd like to let them know where you can find me at. Of course, it's SAC_Lydell on the Instagram, Patrick_Lydell on the Snapchat. That's where you can find your boy at. If you're looking for the Best of Bias podcast, of course, you can find it if you type it in your URL bar, bestofbias.com. I think we're still up on my old website, but I'm still trying to work on getting a new website up so we can get this merch out. Of course, we got merch. New hats coming soon. Bucket hats, dad hats, beanies, trucker hats. We got a whole bunch of new stuff. New designs coming too. We got the Thunderbolt with Growly on top. It's coming real soon. Plus, it's a bunch of stuff to show you, especially it's coming at a really good time. Wintertime coming. Get you some Best of Bias merch. Again, if you're looking for the Best of Bias podcast on YouTube, of course, just type it into your YouTube, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. About 200 videos now, aka you're doing a beautiful job making these videos nice and interesting for you guys. And it's just getting better and better with the new computer you got. He's putting the B-roll in there. We got clips, man. We getting back to the clips and stuff, you know what I'm saying, for y'all to be interested in. But yeah, man, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. If you want to be on the podcast as well, hit me up. All the family is allowed and invited. Anybody, just hit me up. Anybody y'all want me to talk to specifically, I'll reach out to them, see if they want to be on. Got a bunch of family that's doing some interesting things out there that need to be on the podcast, and people that do need to return that I want to introduce you guys to. So yeah, that's a lot. And I held you guys for a lot today. It's Saturday. Maybe even Sunday. I don't know what day it is, man, because I'll be lagging with the releases, but whatever day it is, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, thank you for clicking on this podcast, because you could have clicked on any podcast in the world, but you clicked on this one. Come back next week for all the sports reviews, podcasts, pop culture, cinema corner, fantasy football. We'll review the NFL. We'll review everything else. And we got NBA coming up real soon. And man, who knows? We'll talk about WNBA soon too. We're in the semifinals. We got the Connecticut Sun versus the I think it's New York Liberty, and then we got the Dallas Dallas Wings versus the Vegas Aces. So yeah, we got a great semifinal coming up. So we'll talk a little bit about that, because I think the games are on Sunday. So we'll know who wins game ones on Sunday. So we'll get into it. A lot of that and much more guests, more love coming on the Best of Bias podcast. You know what I'm saying? We're here weekly, baby. We're always here. We're here for you every week. I hope you guys like the glasses too. Hope they weren't too distracting today, but love y'all. Where that theme song at? It's right here. Yeah. It's the best of bias. You need the earful. You should try us. From pop culture to the movies to Unitas. It's the best of bias. The best of bias. Yeah. It's the best of bias.